Yeah, there's been a number of highlights during the year, fairly steady progress throughout 2023. Obviously, bookended by the maiden resource at the start of February, and then the updated resource in mid-November. And in between that, we've had a string of really high-grade drill intersections at Mulga Bill and also some at Ironbark. Of course, the most notable of them was the bonanza hit we had in the 6th hole of the year at Mulga Bill, which had two 1 metre intersections of visible gold, and that included what turned out to be 3,160 grams a tonne in the top one, the upper intersection there. And that was actually the highest grade mineral intersection in the world for several months. While that in itself, in the scope of 50-odd thousand metres of drilling within that resource, is not globally significant, it just does indicate the super high grades that we get at Mulga Bill and the quality of that deposit. Since then, as I said, a number of intersections, very high grades. We've also established these Sabello lodes at depth, which have got now significant strike continuity, and the actual continuity of those along strike is really pleasing. And the other really positive thing during the year was that we started off with an inferred resource, which obviously incorporates a number of assumptions, and then as we continued drilling that inferred resource, we pretty much confirmed all of those assumptions as we went along. So we were hitting gold where we expected to, and that's been really good, because obviously with an inferred resource, the more you drill it, there is a risk that some of those interpreted lodes might fall away. And what we found was the interpreted ones were confirmed by infill drilling, and we actually found more. So that's been really positive, and also a good validation of the technical work that the company's done up until now. Yeah, so the mineral resource, really the main key difference now is that we're dealing with a resource that's 50% inferred, 50% indicated, and there's heaps of easy wins to convert more of that to indicated. And really there are three levels in the JORC code. Inferred is the kind of least well defined and therefore the most risky. Indicated is the next step up, which is the middle, and that's the first stage at which you can start doing economic studies. And then the most well-defined level is measured, which is basically almost at grade control stage. So by that stage, you're pretty much ready to dig it up and put it in the mill. So that's a really important de-risking process as we move essentially from discovery through definition towards development. It's very important to get as much mineralisation in the indicated as you can. As I've said previously, we're actually not considering economic studies right now. We probably will as we move through 2024. We're keeping an eye on the inflationary environment, and once we have a feel that capital costs can be accurately estimated, then we'll consider kicking off feasibilities. But the other thing is we'd like to have 1 million ounces in resource, just as a kind of a psychological milestone before we start proper feasibilities on the whole thing. Done over the 3 years to date, we've now defined a mineral resource of 2/3 of 1 million ounces, and we have a stated target of achieving 1 million ounces in resource. And I've said that we want to be there by this time next year. So we've got 12 months to find the next kind of 300,000 ounces. And the other key thing that we've achieved this year is that we've negotiated an Aboriginal Heritage and Land Access Agreement, which is a new structure for us to operate under, and we've done all the initial heritage survey work on the 14-kilometre Ironbark trend or Ironbark corridor on the eastern side of Sidewell. So there's a number of reasons that we're really excited about this area. Firstly is in terms of its stratigraphy, It's the stratigraphic equivalent of the rocks that host Paddy's Flat on the west side of the belt. And yet all of these areas are essentially, they've never been drilled before. Or certainly there are some very early RAB fences across it, but mostly ineffective. And other than that, there's been nothing. So the second reason we're really excited is we've done auger geochemistry over that whole 14-kilometre corridor. We found this big hydrothermal system of gold and pathfinder elements like bismuth, tungsten and moly. And those indicate that that's a big hydrothermal system going the whole way up. So I've now got a number of targets there. And to compare that to Ironbark, that was initially a 2-point gold in auger anomaly, so only 2 samples 50 metres apart, fairly low level. We weren't that excited by it. When we finally got around to drill testing that, we found 100,000 ounces at Ironbark. So now we've got multiple other targets which are similar to that or in some cases much larger. And so that's why we're excited about testing all of those targets and hopefully making new discoveries in 2024. So if you compare that to this year, we've done a lot of infill drilling, a lot of extensional drilling around existing resources. Now, moving into 2024, we're going right back to the discovery phase out in these new targets, and that's going to be pretty exciting. So we're really keen to get into that.